Hey everybody, welcome to Trendy Trading. This is Jonathan. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's broad market analysis. So we'll be covering from November 13th into November 18th. And please keep in mind if you're going to buy contracts or options for the week of the 21st through the 25th, it is a holiday week. It will be shortened. So just understand the premium on those could and or rot very quickly. So again, for me, just as a shout out, if I'm going to buy swings, they're most likely going to fall after the Thanksgiving week. Okay, so most likely I'll be concentrating on weekly options this week with some equity and selling credit spreads and same old, same old. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So, over here on the left hand side, this is our Discord, and this is this is the broad market analysis. So every weekend I come in here and update this information. So the first thing we'll be looking at is the earnings. So really big week. We have some big names up here. And if you take a look here, I've circled some that I feel like are important, such as Walmart, Home Depot, Target, Nvidia, Cisco, Alibaba, PANW, those type of names. Big names still on the board. And after such an explosive week, the question is, can we continue up? There's a lot of signs that are saying just take a little bit of caution. But there's also a few signs that say, hey, we could see a gap up tonight and then possibly a move into resistance and maybe fade that and get ready for some of the econ data that we may see this week. And we'll be going over that, okay? So again, we have our earnings here, and then Market Watch. This is free. I use this. I just use the URL Market Watch. So tomorrow, 11 a.m., just so you know, New York Fed 1-year inflation expectations, New York Fed 5-year inflation expectations. So coming in after the market opens. So again, if for some reason, just as a disclaimer, if we gap up and things are feeling really FOMO-ish, just beware that this information is coming down at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. On Tuesday, notice we have PPI coming out at 8:30. So if for some reason we get a fade tomorrow, I think we'll be fading into support to get ready for the PPI. On Wednesday, we have retail sales, and after that, to me, it's pretty quiet. Again, as we head into the holiday week next week, and I would imagine we'd see a lot of people traveling. Volume will be pretty low, and anyways, let's move on. So SPY QQQ, the neutral strat from last week. This is important, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We'll pull that up. And it's right here. So let's just go over it really quickly. These are the levels that I gave you before the week started. I gave them to you, same thing, last week, over the weekend. We know how we trade this. If you don't know how to trade the neutral strategy, I have a quick video on how to do that. I love keeping the performance of these so you guys can see the results of the charts. The charts speak for themselves. Please note that you can see here, price did break over the neutral, giving that trigger to go long. We did hit T1 and T2, and after we hit T2, which happened to be the daily supply zone, we pulled all the way back right into the neutral. We held that neutral, and then we created some demand here, and then we got that explosive move up, going through all three targets to the upside. And then here in the room live, we had to update with some new targets. We hit that target at 395, and we actually hit pretty close to 400, and then we kind of just stalled there going into this week. Same thing over here on QQQ. We hit T1, T2. We didn't quite hit the supply zone. We came down into the neutral. Same formations built there in the neutral. We had some demand. We push up really strong. This one kind of stalled right underneath the supply, broke right through, and then again had to update for targets, the new targets of 280 and 284. So again, those are the past results last week. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this week. So that's going to be 11:13, and so I believe it's right in here. Give me 1 second. There we go, 11:13:22. These are going to be new levels. And let's go ahead and get this one up as well. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. I know I needed some rest, right? It was a little exhausting. Even though we had a great week, we still need a break, and everybody needs a break before we get back in here, especially after that big move last week. One thing I do want to say is, again, the neutral strategy, everybody is going to have different results, but the idea is to go long over the green, trim into targets, bring those stops up, and then if we break down to the downside underneath the red, look to go short, trimming those targets at the targets down below, because the targets to the upside are resistance until proven otherwise, and the levels to the downside are support. Now, that also includes this red and green line. So the green line is resistance, the red line is support. I know it seems a little backwards, but that's the way it is. So a lot of times what can happen is we come up and smack that and just kind of reject a little bit. We build a little momentum and then we push up into those targets. Okay, just want to throw that out there. So these are your new targets. Don't need to go over it. Just take a snapshot of that. We'll also have this in the newsletter. These are your targets going into this week. Okay, let's go ahead and minimize that. And back over here into SPY, those are those levels I give you. Here's SPY for the bigger picture. So I'm going to read this, then I'm going to show you the chart. So far, it's an inside and up, and price stalled right at EMA resistance and supply and the 38.2. So there's like all of this, a lot of confluence right there. It's a huge level. As long as price holds the 394.5 area, I expect bullish price action in there. There's no doubt that, a rest of the market could happen this week, meaning we digest that move from last week. And I'm sure many bears are getting run over, but have they really been run over yet? And one of my favorite things to say is, if I was in charge of the market, what would I do? I want to think like an institution. Well, have they been run over yet? If I were in charge, I'd rip faces off with a push towards 410 and 412 and then digest and not give a significant pullback until they go back into hibernation. And that's when we would actually see that pullback. Now, again, let's go ahead and take a look at the bigger picture. And I'm going to bring this over really quick, just like that. All right, now this is the monthly. When I say bigger picture, we do use the quarterly, but instead of taking you to the quarter, I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about on the monthly. So notice here, we do have an inside candle and now an inside and up. Please know it's only the 13th of November. So this up candle could always come all the way back down and it'd be a double inside. It could turn into an inside and down. So again, we still have plenty of days left before November actually ends. So just know that's the current situation. Another thing is when we zoom in here, notice the top of the cloud. Remember, this cloud is resistance until proven otherwise. And then when I'm measuring the entire pullback from this pivot up here and to this pivot down here, we are hitting the 38.2. Guys, 38.2. We have supply zone right here. So I'll take this off and show you so you can see better. But this is the supply zone. 38.2 supply zone and the cloud. This is insane. There's a lot of confluence here that says we have to stall until proven otherwise. It doesn't mean that we have to have a deep pullback. And I think that's the biggest thing that where traders get run over is that they're trying to call a top and unfortunately they just keep getting run over, or when they finally get it right, we actually just kind of pull in and digest that move and don't really give them what they're looking for. I really feel it's one of those times. So please be careful. All right, we have ways to gauge whether or not it's going to make sense to go short from a risk to reward standpoint. All right, but again, we are at a pivotal juncture where it's a big deal going into this week. So again, notice down here, I'm going to take these fibs off really quick. Okay. Notice right here, this was the supply zone that I've been showing you over the last several weeks. And we're there. We're inside there. So as long as price can hold that level that I gave you earlier, around 394.47, then this stays bullish and we can't bid over that cloud. Now, the bigger picture for the month, okay, is that this is the bull channel right here. You can see bullish channel of the last 2 months. As long as we hold in here, this rally is still bullish, okay, far as trendy methodology is concerned. Notice if we hold over the monthly cloud in November, like we actually close over it, this would be the first time that we do that since, let's go over here, since right here, which was in March of 2022. So that's the thing, right? Every time I think about the macro and you're hearing all this information about inflation and so on forth, for me, it just kind of clouds the mind, it clouds the judgment of trading, and you're not able to execute to the upside. And that's not what we practice here. Every week is an opportunity. We're not biased. We're just trading what we see. And this is what I see going into this week. My overall sentiment for SPY is a yellow flag, a little bit of caution until we can see if the bulls can actually sustain these bullish levels and or bid over that resistance. And that resistance is basically coming around 399.5 or so. Okay, so that again is the SPY. Let's go ahead and minimize that. We'll go ahead and move down here. QQQ. I showed you that just a few minutes ago. Remember, those were that picture of the targets to the upside and downside. Again, those will be in the newsletter and here in the room. Next thing, QQQ, bigger picture. Let's go ahead and pull this up as well. All right. So once again, we're using the monthly, and same thing, folks. Inside and up formation, inside and up, but just again, it's only November 13th. Things are looking pretty good. The difference here is that we have not touched supply, so there is a possibility for an $8 to $10 run here. But just like the SPY, it is hitting, not just like, sorry, the SPY is hitting the 38.2. The QQQ is hitting the 23.6. So both of them are confluent, meaning they're both hitting bearish channels of this move. So again, right into resistance. Now, the difference is we typically run from an inside and up formation into an inside and down formation. And we still have $8 to $10 to the upside in the Qs if we can bid over these levels. So we really need to see the bulls kind of fight for that 23.6 level, which right here is around 289.15. Okay, so over 289.15, things start to look a little bit better to the upside. Okay, now as far as sustaining this move, we need to see that bulls can hold the bullish channel, which is these 223 and 38s here of the last 2 months. And those levels are 281 basically by 275.5. Okay, so that again, that is the bigger picture for the monthly. As far as this week is concerned, we want to see if it can get over this 289 and some change there. Okay, and again, that is QQQ. Let me go ahead and read you the notes there. Currently inside and up, and unlike the SPY, the QQQ still has some distance to run, $8 to $10, if the bulls can hold the bullish channel. Basically 281 to 275. Again, price stalled at the 23.6 of the overall downtrend from January to current. That's a huge level going into this week. Bulls will need bids above 289 and a quarter. If they can hold above, we could see a push towards that 300. Okay, and there's those charts that I just went over with you. Overall sentiment for me in SPY and QQQ is caution until I see bids come in above major levels. I wouldn't be surprised to see a gap up on Thursday and Friday's momentum, but that's if the market doesn't drop some sort of news catalyst between now and open. So we have about 4 more hours before the futures open. All right. And, you know, they know how to play this game. Typically, that's when the news catalyst will come in. Okay. All right. So next thing is going to be the DXY, the dollar. Okay, now we've pegged this thing, we've gotten this thing right almost weekly. This really helped us gauge with everything else that we do here, really gauge that we were coming into a rally. All right, so here's the dollar. We were looking for an inside and down. We got that trigger once the dollar dropped below 111.58 or so. We were right in far as where we projected price to go, and that was the monthly cloud. And then we have this inside and up formation that I believe we can go to. However, understand that the dollar pulling back, the market rallied, right? Now we're getting close to a relief bounce here in the dollar. So for some reason, the market gaps up and the dollar gaps down into the support and then starts to go bid. That's where I'm calling caution going into this week. Now, how far can the dollar push up is the biggest question. All right, but we do have an answer for you. So we're going to take this pivot here. We're going to project that price will hit into this cloud. So about right here. I do not want to see the dollar bid over 109. Okay. 109. If it stays below 109, I think we can continue that bullish run up into those targets I just gave you a few minutes ago. Okay. And again, if for any reason the market just gaps up and the dollar continues to sink, this will be the next level that I'm looking for the dollar to come into, around 103.29, 103.30 in that area. And then I think we find a relief bounce there as well. Okay, so again, that correlation working out really well for us, but just know that it's coming into support and we could see a small gap down in the dollar, gap up in the market. But if it starts to go bid, we do not want it over 109. Let's go ahead and move into the TNX. All right, the Treasury. We'll go ahead and put this in. So TNX inside candle. Once again, it's only November 13th. Too early to call this. But what I will tell you is as long as this is hanging out in here, staying under 4, things look good. If we start to bid above the 4 level, then again, take caution. I would imagine that the dollar's also bouncing from that level. But if it continues down, we could see this move all the way down into support at around 3.217. Again, we've been calling this very well. We'll continue to keep our eyes on it and keep you guys on the right side. Let's go ahead and move down. The next one is the skew. That's right, guys. Not only have I tweeted this out several times, but I've talked about it over and over and over. And it has worked perfectly. All you had to do was come back and look at the history of the market, and you will see that every time that it came down into this level, that the SPY, the market in general, rallied, extremely rallied, and guys, did we not see 220 points? That was absolutely incredible on one day. I didn't think something like that would happen. I really didn't. But we were looking for a risk on environment at these levels. The problem, or not, it's really not a problem. We just knew that timing was the variable. So I didn't know if it would happen this week or next week, but we were on the right side and things worked out. So again, really like that the skew came in down into those levels and things are working out. Okay. Fear and greed, it's at 66 this week. It's saying greed. So when I think about this and I say that there's a possible gap up, I think we could possibly gap up because we have this space that runs from greed to extreme greed as well. We're not quite there. We still have some distance to go. And I don't think we've been in extreme greed the entire year. So that would really give us a whole different look. All right. So, where does this leave us going into tonight? Well, that leads us into futures. So, you guys know I like trading futures. A lot of you guys trade futures as well. We're going to go ahead and come down here into the futures room. Give me one second. Futures charts, futures chat. We'll go to future charts. So, every weekend, again, I'm going to post these charts here on ES Futures. I'll give you the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour look. And as far as the 5-minute goes, same thing for the Nasdaq. As far as the 5-minute goes, guys, we just use the PMZ. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look there. Give me one second. We're going to pull. That's not the one. Let's go ahead and pull. There we go. Right here. All right. Let's go ahead and maximize this. We'll pull up the ES futures. And let's go ahead and go through these charts as well. All right, so we'll start with the weekly. Just kind of go over the notes, guys. So inside week led to an inside and up, created some demand down here. We went ahead and annotated that just in case the market decides to pull back. We'll be looking for buys to come in at that point. Notice we went inside and up again, so 2 inside and ups now. This was a beautiful weekly candle. But far as the cloud is concerned, just like I was showing you on the bigger picture with the SPY, we need to get over the next EMA, and this next EMA is focus. So this 4,000.96, that was the target that I gave you last week. We hit that. We actually stalled there. And now the question for me, notice I put this next target line just over that. Right in here is where I would expect some resistance if we gap up. So just understand that. Where I think we're headed to is the supply. Okay, that's up here around 4,224. Again, as a disclaimer, I don't know the timing of it. I don't know if it happens this week or if it happens in a month. Right now, though, what I can't tell you is we have higher lows and higher highs within a down range, and we're trying really hard to push up through this cloud. Now, from a Fibonacci perspective, we go pivot high end to pivot low. This is a really important level, folks, and I think I forgot to mention this on the SPY. All that confluence I gave you, and we're hitting the 618. This is the golden Fibonacci, and basically what it's saying is from this period that I decided to measure from, that this downtrend is broken if we can actually get above the 618. So big levels coming into tonight, and you guys can see it. Confluence with the cloud, confluence with Fibonacci, confluence with monthly supply. There's a lot of things saying that we're opening up into resistance. So are the bulls in control? I guess we're going to find out this week. Okay. All right, so that is ES on the weekly. And then as you guys know, I give you a daily. So everybody is different. Everybody falls on different time frames. But this is what I'm looking for as far as tonight goes. We have this really big imbalance candle. Basically what I'm saying is orders got kicked off really quickly. We always want to be paying attention to big candles like this. We typically will run out of buyers, and then prices will resort back to where they remember there being buyers. And I'll kind of show you that on a 4-hour candle. As far as resistance tonight, 4,002 and 3/4. If price hits 4,014.29, this is a trigger short, but only if the small time frame supports this short. And I talk about that on the TTM squeeze. Basically what I'm looking for on a 5-minute to 3-minute chart, if we hit the trigger short level here and we are turning a dark blue at that level, and it has to be 2 bars, then I wouldn't mind getting short, or we just trade the PMZ or the pre-market zone. Okay, here's the 4-hour look. This is what it's looking like tonight going into ES futures. We have a little bit of support down here at 39.78 by 48. Again, I would expect buyers to come in here. What I'd be looking for, again, on a 3 to 5-minute chart, looking at the TTM squeeze, I'm looking for yellow bars, 3 to 5-minute chart. Again, 2 yellow bars typically will let me know that we have buyers stepping in. Okay. Again, 3 to 5-minute chart, not the daily chart. All right. So down here, and I apologize. Let's go into, this is supposed to be 4 hours. There we go. There's the 4-hour chart. So notice we left this imbalance here. We have demand down there. I have a 30-minute zone between 52 and 01, and I have support at 78 by 48, as I was saying. Far as like the look of this chart, this is what it looks like. We went ahead and annotated all the different demand zones. Some of these are really powerful. These all look pretty nice. They really do. They look like really nice zones. This one is super powerful. It feels extended, but when I look at the cloud, we're right underneath price, kinda, at 39.53, so like 50 points down. We had that 200-point move, which really creates a huge range. And when you look at this, the problem is that we could still pull back like 38% of that move and it still be bullish, but it's not going to feel that way, and it might really mess people up because they'll start getting super bearish. But according to my methodology, if we can hold 38% of this move, then we continue to think on the bullish side. Okay. As far as the 5-minute, like I said, folks, on the 5-minute charts, I'm using all the same targets, but I'm using the PMZ to get in and out of trades at night and during the day. Okay. Let's go ahead and go over here to the Nasdaq. Same thing. I want to be looking at it from a weekly. Okay, and this is the Nasdaq. This is what it looks like. I got a channel here that I annotated, and really we're just kind of just now breaking out of that. So what I'm doing is using the top of the channel and a trendy edge as your support around 11,584 and then 11,111. Okay, as support here, and we'd be looking for, if price were to come in here, looking for bids to come in. Your resistance is coming in right at that second EMA. Again, the ES is kind of outpacing the NASDAQ, and so it looks a little bit different, whereas the ES futures are sitting up here, and we are just coming into a little bit of resistance. Again, this tells me that we could pop into resistance tonight. So there could be a gap up again if we don't have any big catalysts that kind of pull the market back. Okay. But this is what we got. We have supply up here, we have resistance here, and we have immediate resistance right there and support there. Okay. And let's go ahead and move into the daily. All right, so this is what it looks like so far for me. Support. Now, this doesn't mean that I can't get long, right here, but I want to be a little bit more cautious as far as the trigger long goes tonight on 11,566. Again, I would be using the PMZ tonight. This is just a bigger picture in case we were to get a bigger pullback. Notice that the support also comes in around some trendy edges and also the cloud. So again, looking for that cloud to be support. The bull targets on the Nasdaq would be up here towards the 200. And I'm not sure if I showed you that on the ES, but we'll go back to that here in a second. Okay. As far as the trigger short goes, it's around 12,126. But again, it's all about the smaller time frame. I don't want to get in front of this missile. Matter of fact, I just want to ride the trend. Notice your TTM squeeze down here. That looks attractive, folks. Let's go ahead and go into the 4 hour. Looks extended, but check it out. It came back to test the cloud last week. It did really well, and it continued to push up. If anything that I'm seeing is a little bit of a yellow flag, like I said, and maybe a little bit of digestion after a gap up. And for me, that means premium kill. So be careful the first couple days. If we gap up, try not to chase it. And this is specifically for our members because, we've been riding this wave. The last thing we want to do is get caught at the very top. And if for some reason they pull it in and digest, it can be really frustrating because you're not necessarily going to get a big pull, you're not going to get a big push, and what that ends up doing is creating a lot of premium decay. Matter of fact, this is what I was leading into. This might be a good week to start some call credit spreads, but again, we'll be coaching that in the morning and taking a look to see if that is feasible. All right. So again, that's NASDAQ. Let me go right back to the ES futures. Like I said, I want to make sure I showed you the 200, okay, which was the day right there. So the bull target, I think I did go over this, 4,083, got that 200 up there. It's in line with the Fibonacci as well. So I really like this target up to the upside if we can continue this market rally. All right. So a few things. Let me see if there's anything I need to talk about in the room. So we are getting a lot of new members, and that's absolutely awesome. And what that means is when we have new members, we have a lot of questions, right? And so a lot of those questions, if you're new here, can be found on the FAQ on the website. It can also be found here in the Discord room. If you are on a trial, folks, what are my expectations of you? That would be to sit back, listen, see what we're doing, come into the main room, watch us trade live, ask questions if you like about like what you're seeing, if there's any sort of supply and demand questions, if you want to see a different chart. And remember, my alerts are for proof of concept. So what that means is I'm going to lose and win. But again, my trades are coming straight from my brokerage account to you in milliseconds. And all I'm saying is I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And you're going to see whether that percentage is a gain or a loss in real time. Very transparent with those trades, okay? This is not an alerts only service. We are here to educate and teach a process. And what I'm looking for is to enrich you with some of the things that took me a long time. And then from there, if you feel like tailoring it or it resonates with you, then this can make you a better trader. Okay, that's the idea. There's nothing that guarantees profits. Okay, most processes are pretty good, but somewhere between our ears, we let things get in the way and you still are unsuccessful. It can happen. But especially for new traders, if you're just getting to trendy trading, take your time. Okay, don't come in here, trying to take every trade and, try to get back what maybe you're losing from another service or, something that has been happening to you. I really don't want you to revenge trade. I want you to come in here, see the proof of concept, know that I care about you and that I'm taking the time to teach you. And I talk a lot and I love doing it. And so I just want to say thank you once again for being here, but also please take your time. And know if you're on trial, some of the information that you're given is not readily available to you unless you're a pro member, right? So some of the videos, some of the education channels, you may not see those until you become a member. Other than that, I cannot wait to trade with you guys this week. It's going to be fun. Law of attraction. We are going to kick butt. Let's do it together. We're here for each other. We have the same mission to make money. But overall, let's be good stewards of our money and risk management, and let's keep that in check. We'll see you soon.